Trailout by developers GoodBoys is due for release imminently in Q2 2022. So when a friend pointed it out to me, I thought I'd take a look at the trailer, and I was immediately intrigued by it. So I decided to take a look at the demo, and I was immediately disappointed because the Trailout demo only accommodates handheld controllers, no wheel support whatsoever. Now the full release does say full controller support, so I hope that this means it will be implemented and this is just a limitation on the demo. But being a resourceful chap and somewhat addicted to ultimate realism, I set about hooking up my Logitech G29 to the game using X360CE in order to trick the game into thinking that my wheel was an Xbox controller. Pretty clever, right? Well, yes and no, because the game adds a huge amount of dead zone to the left thumbstick, which in turn required me to add huge amounts of anti-dead zone, and after a few try and fail agains, I ended up with something that felt almost similar to something kind of like using a wheel, except that it still had a massive dead zone in the middle, and the second that I stepped outside of that dead zone, I got an instant 15-degree turn to either side. Well, I pushed through that. I did a few laps and I finally overcame that issue by steering left and right constantly, kind of like how they do in the movies that they made back in the 60s. The next issue was the handbrake. Well, if you're one of those kids who can track the B button around a wheel whilst rotating it 180 degrees or more and still be able to use it effectively, then good on you. But I decided to bind it to my USB handbrake. Unfortunately, I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out how to get both the G29 and the handbrake working at the same time. So instead, I bound it to my clutch. And it's surprising how quickly you can adapt to a new way of doing things. After a few laps, it actually felt quite natural. Despite all of my best efforts though, it was the way that the game implements the handbrake that caused me to lose control of the car almost every time I used it. It is a digital input, and it reacts like a digital input, so there's no progressive handbrake. It's either fully on or fully off, and depending on which way you have the wheel turned, you will rotate in that direction instantly, uncontrollably. Furthermore, it doesn't rotate the back of the car, it rotates the middle. Yeah, I nearly vomited when I said that too. But wait, because surprisingly, it actually does get better, and shockingly, I don't actually hate this game. Let's recap. So the steering kind of works, the handbrake was semi-functional, so the last thing that I needed was boost, because after all, this is an arcade game and the AI cheats. They are faster than me, they have better handling, and they seem to have a lot more impact when we're having side-by-side contact. So I bound that to my gear up flappy paddle, and finally we had something kind of resembling a Red Bull downhill go-kart which was held together with bits of sticky tape and cable ties. Alas, that is how I got the game to work with my G29. So now it was all about trying the game out, and I doubt I'm going to say this very often, but actually I really liked and enjoyed this arcade experience. I mean, unless they introduce head tracking, official wheel support and sort the darn physics out. Honestly, the physics are so bad in this game that you cannot perform a Scandinavian flick no matter what you do. They are simply impossible. Oh yeah, unless they make those changes, I will probably never play this game again. But there are some really good hardcore simulation elements included in this game, and they did impress me quite a lot. So that is why I am reviewing it for you today, because this might be a game, if you're partial to a bit of arcadey fun every now and then, but really deep down you're a hardcore sim fan, this might be one to put on your watch list, because I think you might get some fun out of it. The first thing I liked about this game was the look of it. It looks really rather good. The maps are really nice to look at, and the cars are equally decent in their design. Now the maps themselves, which I've already said are really quite nice, they're hard to navigate. They've got tight turns, really narrow bridges, and the track becomes super cluttered and awkward with debris, and literally everything is destructible, including the buildings and the cars themselves. Honestly, it's really quite impressive. There are jumps, there are things that will rotate you and spin you and flip you. There is a bit of a backstory to it, which I didn't really get involved in, but it is there, it does exist, and I think it's going to progress and grow quite nicely as a storyline in order to entice you to keep playing, keep upgrading and keep trying these tracks.
Zhenka!
𝐒𝐢𝐦,
I've been waiting for you, you son of a bitch.
Hi 𝐒𝐢𝐦, we're ready to go. I got the car and I'm ready to work. How's it going?
Fine, I forgot I was in the hospital. You are still wearing your gas mask?
Did you forget why?
Of course not. How could I? Well, what did you bring?
Oh, this? I brought you this straw. I think there's a better chance of winning in this than in your bucket.
Thanks, Zhenka. The workshop is behind the garage. Why don't you head over there? I'll join you, son.
Got it. Then I'm off. Let's kick some ass.
You can set the car up to be arcade controlled or simulation controlled. Now obviously I picked arcade mode. No, I'm just kidding. I picked super hardcore simulation mode. And when I say hardcore, I do mean hardcore. Full simulation settings, hardest AI and difficulty, especially as this game is brutal. And when I say brutal, I do mean brutal. It makes Wreckfest look like a girl's tea party. If you put one wheel in the wrong place, you're going to go on your side or on your roof. And not to look a gift horse in the mouth, the AI will take good advantage of that opportunity and try and kill you whilst you're stuck in that position. Because unless you do actually press reset, you're going to be stuck like that. And sometimes, I don't want to press that reset button. The collisions, which sometimes include explosions, do also occasionally run into slow motion, so you can really soak up those big collisions. And the destructive nature of the vehicles themselves, the way that they compress in and bits go flying off everywhere, it's really quite impressive. And the cherry on the cake, they have an option where if you crash too badly, your character can die. Yes, die. Not have a headache, not pass through the windscreen and get up and go, oh, that was nasty. I mean die. Pass through the windscreen, die instantly on impact. You don't see that option very often, and I liked that challenge. Furthermore, and whilst this is a little arcadey and oversimplistic, you'll start your career with just a shell of a car. Then you'll need to buy each individual core component, by which I mean you'll have no wheels, no engine, no gearbox. Then, once you do own something, probably old and unreliable, there are upgrades that you can buy, and after each race you can pay and have repairs done. Now, it's important to mention that winning will earn you, I think, $1,000, the best I could do is finish second, and last place will earn you just £50, I think. So this game is super hard, from top to bottom. How the heck are those handheld arcade players going to cope with this level of reality? I guess they're going to set it to arcade mode and just not utilise all the best features of this game. I am, no word of a lie, super impressed with parts of this game, and if they can sort those physics out, implement wheel control, I'd love to have head tracking, but you know what, I could see past that, because like Wreckfest, this could be so much fun, especially in multiplayer mode. This game is so hard, it really does make Wreckfest look like a bit of a girl's tea party, as I said. It has impressed me on many levels. I've requested a copy from the devs because I would love to see what this game can do once it's fully released. This demo is actually quite old, it's been out for quite a while now, and I'm hoping that full controller support means wheel support as well. If it doesn't, then this game probably isn't going to entice many people in, but if they've got wheel support, this should be on your wish list, guys. You should be definitely checking out some YouTube videos and checking out some reviews on this, because there's a lot here that's likeable. Of course, there's a lot that I would like to see changed. The camera angles, the first person view, but there's a lot here to really, really impress you as well. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
The persistent smell of burnt tires, endless screams of drivers. Yes, we are at the Trail Out Festival now in Los Angeles. The most expensive and extreme races, the deadliest and most breathtaking. How many fractures do these drivers have? Do you hear? They are coming. How many are left? I think they are about to find out and show you. Oh no, it's Ivan Kamrat. I also see Joe Boomer, Big Cheese, Yuji Chan, boss Sonia Mas, Frau Uber, and the festival leader Frank Woods.